Welcome to this presentation of the Rotary Club of North Bethesda, Maryland, USA. Our club was established in 1974. We meet every Friday morning at 7:45 a.m., and we often invite guest speakers to give presentations on all kinds of interesting subjects. Please contact us through our website at nbrotary.org. And thanks for watching. Our speaker today is Dr. Ali Zohery. He will be introduced by his friend Dr. Abdel Razak Qadri, an adjunct professor at the University of Maryland School of Public Health.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanawani. It's really a great pleasure to introduce today's speaker. He's a real expert in Egyptology. So let me share my screen quickly. I have one slide to introduce Dr. Ali Zohery. Dr. Zohery, he is the founder and director of operation of Zohery Tours International. It's a company in DC, based on DC. Also, he is an adjunct professor of tourism at Strayer University. His education really, he is loaded. His undergraduate degree from Cairo University in Egyptology. Then he has a tourism diploma from ATI Institute in Polychurch, Virginia, MBA in International Management from Southeastern University in Washington, D.C. Then he has a PhD in Mass Communication from Howard here in Washington, D.C. He has a large number of graduate courses at UMD, American University, and the Cairo University on anthropology and international management. He really has a large number of book chapters, peer-reviewed publications. I put here his Facebook link if you like to review his other presentations in various avenues. And he is really, like, I can say, he loves education, and he is an educator, and he is a real expert in Egyptology. So now I go back to you, Dr. Zohery.
Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Zohery.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure being with you this morning. And this morning, I'm going to take you in a quick journey to Egypt from south to north, and from east to west. Quick, about 20 minutes, and then after that, we'll have about 10 minutes if anybody has any questions. So I'm going to just share the screen with a slideshow, so we'll talk about what we're going to see. When we say south to north, we mean from Upper Egypt to Lower Egypt. And the reason that they say that from Upper to Lower Egypt, because the level of the land in Egypt in the south is higher than the north, and that's the reason that the river Nile flows from the south to the north. So I'm going to just get the slideshow now, and then we'll start talking about it. I know the time is limited, so we'll begin. So as we're going to continue, first, Egypt is kind of in a central location in the world. And this, as you're going to see in the map, located in the northeast of Africa. Here in the north will be the Mediterranean. In the south would be Sudan, and in the east would be the Red Sea, and in the west will be Libya. And as we go, as you see in this map here, we're going to start from south, where Abu Simbel and from starting from Queen Hatshepsut Temple. And Queen Hatshepsut, she was one of the greatest queen in ancient Egypt, that she was able to control the country for about 21 years, and recorded her activities on the temple called Dir al-Bahari. This Dir al-Bahari is like a media recording for all what she has done throughout her time, from her military expeditions, and the Egyptian empire expanded in her time, and also her commercial trade in the south from now Punt, which is now Ethiopia, and Yemen, and in the north, in the south, and in the west. And she cut her engineer called Senmut, cut her temple in the as you can see in the mountain here, in 3 levels. And basically this temple is showing everything about her life and about what she has done throughout all these years. So as we move quickly now to Aswan, I'm sure you heard of Aswan. It's a very beautiful city in the south of Egypt, where it's kind of the south gate of Egypt, where you can, in the River Nile, you can enjoy, if you visit, you enjoy the felucca, you enjoy the natural River Nile activities there. And one of the main things that you know about Aswan is Simbel Temple. Simbel Temple is known throughout the world, that the UNESCO participated in rescuing this temple from going under the water after building the high dam. So this temple was built by King Ramses II, and it's a magnificent piece of art, where also has a unique things that you can, people from around the world, you go there to observe the sun, just going inside the temple, Holy of the Holies, for a few minutes, twice a year, in November 21st and in October 21st. First for the king birthday and the king coronation to be the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. As you can see, the king wearing the crown in Upper and the Lower Egypt. And you can see this is a view of people standing just to watch the sunrise go through inside the temple for just a few minutes twice a year. So this temple was rebuilt, taken apart and built up hill, and that's how it was saved from going underwater because of the because of the high dam. Now we're moving to Edfu. It's a city in Upper Egypt also, where very famous for Horus Temple. You can see the columns, the huge columns, all decorated with what the kings wanted to tell the world after him, what they have done. The Egyptians believe in eternity, and they wanted to show that they were good, and they would deserve to go to the paradise after life because of what they have done good in their lives. So everything is recorded in the temples because they believe in eternity. So you don't find palaces that where they lived, but you can find temples and tombs, and they dedicated all the effort to show how good they were in this life to deserve to be have the best in afterlife. And this is in Luxor. When you mention Luxor, I'm sure many people knows that a third of the monuments of the whole world located in Luxor, in Upper Egypt. And this is the River Nile around, so in the east bank and the west bank. The east banks where you can find the temples that we're going to see now, Kamak Temple or Luxor Temple. And in the west, where you're going to see the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens. So this is Luxor, this Kamak Temple, as you can see also again, no inch empty there. Everything is occupied by inscriptions and of the kings were showing their names and also showing what they have done. And Kamak Temple is kind of a, you can say the largest religious structure in the world within one fence. Because every king in Egypt used to go to the Kamak Temple and dedicate something to their gods. So this is how he accumulated all these related things related to the kings that they have done, and the respect to their gods, and the recording everything. Kamak Temple connected to the Luxor Temple with a way called where this kind of a Sphinx shape of a human, of a head of body of a lion with a ram head, and from Luxor will move now to Hurghada. And Hurghada, if so, the people who are interested in scuba diving among the Red Sea, because Hurghada on the Red Sea, this is the place to go. People go there to spend, especially from Europe, they go there over the weekends to spend their time in scuba diving and enjoying the nature on the Red Sea. And here is Sharm el-Sheikh. Sharm el-Sheikh is a city also that will attract many people from around the world because of the location, the history, and also nearby, across from it's in the corner of the Red Sea, and where you can overlook the Sinai Peninsula, where this famous Sinai Peninsula, where the only place on earth that God spoke to Moses, Prophet Moses on Sinai mountain. And this has a historical, and also has all these Christian churches where also Islamic and Christianity and Judaism all there in one place. And this is how the life in Sharm el-Sheikh, where also they have large conference centers that attract people not only just to go there for the sightsee, but also they go there for business meetings and activities. Now we'll move to another city called Fayoum. Fayoum is still in Upper Egypt, and Fayoum is like a mini Egypt, where you can find everything in just this city, where you find also, as you can see here, the Christian churches, and also the mosques and synagogue, where also the royal, the family, the Jesus Christ and his mother Mary, Holy Family trip to Egypt, when he was asked to go to Egypt, and he spent about 7 years with his mother, moving throughout Egypt, and wherever he went, they had a church there commemorating his presence. Fayoum also is a place where you can also enjoy the natural life, where like Niagara Falls here, and places where you can just enjoy the life. As I mentioned, it's like a mini Egypt there. One of the famous cities in Egypt called El Giza. When you mention El Giza, you mention the Great Pyramids, and the Sphinx. El Giza is like the Cairo metropolitan area, where in one side of the river Nile, Giza, where the pyramids and the Sphinx, and on the other side, you can Cairo. Sphinx here, as you can see, is the engineer of the second pyramid. So in a piece of rock, human body, human head on the top of a lion body, symbol of intelligence and power, representing the king in his human head. And also this is second pyramid for King Khafra. And the pyramids, of course, as you all know, is one of the 7 wonders of the world, and the only remaining one, existing one. The Great Pyramids is, of course, volumes of books written about it, and how magnificent the Egyptians were, sophisticated in all fields, how accurate, no single mistakes, even the directions north, south, east, west, and calculations just take a long time to talk about. So it's not like an easy structure, but it is a structure that stayed all these centuries and shown how advanced the Egyptians were, although all these kind of claims that not the Egyptians built the pyramids, but of course, when you see the surrounding the pyramids were the cities for the workers, the permanent workers, the engineers, and all this shows the Egyptians were, the king Khufu spent about 21 years to build the pyramids by itself, which is also connected to the river Nile. And this is the second pyramid, Khufu, Khafra, and the third pyramid. So not only one pyramid, these pyramids in Egypt is about 120 pyramids in Egypt, but this is reaching the top, reaching the maximum, you could say, excellency in the pyramids structures. Now we'll move into another city quickly here, to Cairo. As you know, Cairo is the capital of Egypt. We're combining the old and the modern. That's across the river here to the Maspero building, where the first broadcast station in the Middle East and in Africa, there in that Maspero building. And also you could see the hotels, modern activities and life. So visiting Cairo, that will take you back to Egypt, where you can spend time knowing what's Egypt in the past and in the modern, and also in the future activities happening in Egypt. Also, Cairo has also all the Cairo, where the city of Saladin and the mosque of Muhammad Ali, and also other activities, churches, also in synagogues in Cairo, all together. And this is one of the famous building in Cairo, which is the Egyptian Museum. And quickly, the Egyptian Museum is the largest museum in the world for contains items for just one country only. If you go to any museums in the world, you may find items related to different countries. But the Egyptian museums, only Egyptian monuments that and artifacts within this museum that is like a storage. One of these things here, they could find the King Ramses II. He was just like the gigantic scales of everything, like Abu Simbel Temple. His statues, look at the statues here, just the statues, huge statues that written, and of course they believed in imperfections. You can find their bodies like in perfect shape, everything in just the perfect shape, how they wanted to be in the afterlife. This is because, as I mentioned, they believed in eternity. They believed that everything, what they're going to have now, they're going to have in the afterlife, and this is how they show themselves, how they want to look like. One of the items also in the Egyptian Museum is King Tut, and King Tut has more than 5,000 items within the museums and moved around the world, and showing this is just one king who was took over when he was 9 years old, and he was passed away when he was 18 years old. But his tomb was not stolen, so all these items in the tomb was found untouched. This is the reason that we're able to find all this. So moving quickly here to modern Egypt, as you can see, the modern folklores and other activities that Cairo has to offer. Quickly also moving to another city called Port Said, where the Suez Canal, the headquarters of Suez Canal is there. And the Suez Canal is connecting the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea, with the kind of history behind it is not only the modern canal, but also goes back to the time of the pharaohs. The pharaohs was connecting the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea also. So this is not the first one. Suez Canal and the Port Said is one of the places where many of the activities from around the world happening there. Now moving to Alexandria, which is kind of we call it the Beryl of the Mediterranean, Alexandria, and where also the Library of Alexandria built on the the same style of the old Library of Alexandria that was the first public library in the world, in the ancient world, during the Ptolemies. And the modern library is also the first digital library in the world in the first 20th century, where you can access a digital manuscript from around the world there. And moving Alexandria is, as I mentioned, is like a barrel of the Mediterranean, where beaches across from the Mediterranean will attract not only the foreigners but the Egyptians to go and spend time there. This is a Montazah Palace. Was one of the palaces of the king, King Farouk, and it's like a city by itself. Moving quickly now to the minaret in Alexandria to help with the ships to guide them to the shores. And was through an earthquake was lost, but a Qaitbay was built on it. So this is how Alexandria looks like. And moving now to another city called Marsa Matruh in the west of Egypt, nearby Libya. This is also a place where people go from all over the world to spend magnificent time, where you find all this natural life there, and helping people to enjoy the nature of Egypt, where Cleopatra used to have her bath. And this quickly what we have to say this morning. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
I have a question, but thank you. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Ali, would you please repeat name of engineer for Hatshepsut?
Senen Mut.
Okay.
Senen Mut. He has his tomb under the temple. He built that, cut that temple for her in the mountain in 3 levels that no temple in Egypt like it. Other temples was built, but this one was cut on the mountain.
Okay. Mut, M-U-T-T?
No, Senen, like S-E-N-N, Senen. Mut, M-O-T.
Ah, okay.
Now, even if you Google the engineer of Queen Hatshepsut, you will find all information about it. There's a lot about this engineer, like unique engineers, like also the engineer of the Khufu pyramid, or the Saqqara pyramids. They just were intelligent individuals that were able to produce a magnificent piece of art that nothing like it, unique, that no imitation.
Why you call her queen, not pharaoh?
Hatshepsut, she was a Hatshepsut, she was a queen. Also, she was claimed herself to be a pharaoh also, because first Hatshepsut, she was a daughter of the pharaoh, or the king of Thutmose I, and she was the wife of her brother Thutmose II, and Thutmose II has a child which is Thutmose III from another wife, and the Thutmose II passed away early, and she was taking care of the country as because of her nephew. Thutmose III was young, but she brought him to be the pharaoh of Egypt. Thutmose III, the empire of Egypt reached its widest boundaries during his time. So she brought him very well, military-wise, because the pharaohs used to be in the front line whenever they go to any military expedition. They were in the front. They were expanded their empire everywhere in the north and the east and the south and the west. And he also, when you just say Thutmose III, he's one of the greatest pharaohs in the ancient world.
So can I interrupt for a second so we can give more chance to other people to ask questions? Are you done with your presentation, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So just let me make a comment. I had been to Egypt twice, and I took the whole trip from Abu Simbel to all the way to north, including the last time I went about 2 years back to Alexandria, and as well as Cairo University and Red Sea. one of the most fascinating things, I was so shocked, I'd never seen anywhere in the world, is the civilization 7,000 years back. And I was amazed. I had traveled many countries, and I would say, if you have not traveled to Egypt, I would urge you, any one of you, the people were the finest. They were extraordinary, receptive and friendly and very hospitable. And I enjoyed every moment on the Nile River cruise, as well as the last trip I went to the Cairo University to give a lecture. So I just want to thank you for the great presentation. And so we can open it for anybody has questions.
Question about the Arabic language. Did it arise in Egypt?
No, the Arabic language, first of all, when the Arabs came to Egypt through Amr ibn al-As, he introduced, first of all, he helped the Egyptians to, against the Romans who was, occupying Egypt in a way that you could say that he freed the Egyptians from the Roman occupation. And the Egyptians was, because of the way that the Arabs treated them and no force by any means, they were just adapted the language and adapted their religions. It's the reason that you find many of the Egyptians are Muslims, because of the arrival of the Arabs with Amr ibn al-As, the Muslim leaders who came to Egypt. So this is how, that's when Egypt started to speak Arabic from that time and on. But before that, the Egyptians used to speak first the ancient Egyptian language, which is hieroglyphics. This is written hieroglyphics, and then hieratic, and then Demotic, and then Coptic. The last one was Coptic, where the Egyptian Christians was speaking before the arrivals of the Arabs to Egypt.
I guess that means that the native Egyptians are not Arabs then.
Well, the native Egyptians, you can find them in the, when you go to visit Egypt, you find the people in the south, where in Luxor and Aswan, and you find them kind of a little bit dark skin. That you can, even some people, they have comparison of comparing the features of people in the south to kings of pharaohs, and that's how the Egyptians who was in the south, closer to the Egyptians who were in ancient Egypt. But in the north, where Cairo and Alexandria, where the mixing, it's like a mixing, molten, but the Egyptians with the Mediterraneans, with the people who came from all over to Egypt in the north. But of course, you can find the Egyptian features distinguished either in the north or in the south, but more in the south, closer to the ancient Egyptians.
Oh, thank you.
Very welcome.
I just I wanted to say thank you for your presentation. I was in Egypt, in Cairo, exactly 1 year ago today, and we left on a flight which would be on the 13th to get back to the US because of the pandemic spreading. So we had a lot of help to do our visits and our travels, and I was staying there at the Evangelical Seminary of Cairo, where we were hosted by a lot of the people there. So thank you for the presentation. We had a great opportunity to see the Egyptian Museum and a lot of the other sites around the city. So it was interesting also to see all the building of the partially constructed buildings. There's a lot of population growth coming into Cairo, and I wondered you could share a little about that.
Yes, as I'm sure you heard of the project that's going on in Egypt, where building new cities. The last one is the new administration city, and also during the previous presidents, like Ramadan city, October 6 cities, and a lot of cities that being expanded. So Cairo is kind of overcrowded. So they building more cities to at least to get the administration out of the city itself. So we have more room in Cairo but Cairo is always it's a place for all these activities. But the new cities now is making it less crowded. So this is what the goal of to build in the desert more cities to stay away from the populated cities like Alexandria or Cairo or Port Said and all this. So always you find the new cities. You say new Cairo, new Alexandria, new all these cities has new version. So for the people to move out away from the crowded downtown.
Great, thank
Well,
you.
so Dr. Ali, I
Yes,
have a question related to the tourism, because when I traveled from Cairo to Alexandria, I saw there's a huge developments of all kinds of industries between the two cities, about 100 miles or 90 miles or so. The question that I have, some people always ask how safe it is to travel, particularly by tourists from abroad and from the Western tourists to go to Egypt. I didn't find any problems, but can you comment on that since you are in that kind of a business?
Sure.
Because I think people are still afraid to go to Egypt, given what happened to Aswan Dam a few years back with German tourists, and also at some other place, I can't remember it now, not Abu Simbel, but at the Kamak Temple a number of years back.
Sure.
So can you comment on that?
Absolutely.
Because I think that still remains the problem, you know.
Yeah, tourism in Egypt is, you can say, is #1 industry there. So as I mentioned before, just 1/3 of the monuments of the world, the whole world, located in Luxor. So the Egyptian government, keeping that in mind, that they paying close attention to this issue. So first of all, the accommodation, it's up to date, up to the level of around the world, but also security-wise, the government also paying a very, very important issue, that the making sure that the groups, when they come, they are safe, accompanied by securities, and the security now is just everywhere related to any tourism places, and the tourist places is just monitored by all means of ways to make sure that the tourists are safe. So it is really people can travel to Egypt as they can travel to Washington DC or anywhere, because now, first of all, the Egyptians, they welcoming the whole world to the country, because this is the nature of the Egyptians. They have this hospitality. Whenever you go, you find warm welcoming, and you find them even invite you to their homes to share meals with their, which is kind of a this how show that how hospitable the Egyptians, and how much they like the people to come to visit and to see their country. And I think the government is keeping an eye on the security level to be up to the level of whenever you go, secured as it is in anywhere else in the world, even more.
Well, this is fascinating presentation to present thousands of years in few minutes.
That's what I tried to.
Thank you for that. I've been to Egypt about 40 years ago, and I wanted to go back last year, but couldn't go for pandemic. And hopefully by winter this time, December, January, I could go back. But along with the old Egypt, could you shed a little bit, Chance, about very briefly, how's the new second Suez Canal doing? And also briefly on the street music in Egypt that I used to enjoy, and Kulthum that I very briefly.
Well, I tell you what, Egypt first. Let's go start from what you mentioned last about the music and the Kulthum and all this. Well, Egypt is like the Hollywood of the Middle East, where anybody in the whole Middle East or the Arab wanted to become famous, you go to Egypt. You can find many of the famous singers, they started from Egypt. You find like Fairuz or Farid al-Atrash or many famous people, Ward al-Jazairi, all of them, they come to Egypt to start from there. So so the music in Egypt and the art and the folklore and everything, you find it in the highest level there, that even the whole Arab world, they understand the Arabic Egyptian language dialect. The Egyptian dialect is known. Everybody can understand the Egyptian Arabic in the whole Arab world, because of the movies, because of the people like to watch the movies of the Egyptian movies, the Egyptian singers. So this is how the Egyptian art and the Egyptian Egypt in the center of the Arab world and the Middle East, and whoever wanted to enjoy the music, and also famous musicians and the highest level. They are in Muhammad Abdul Wahab and people Baligh Hamdi and all this. So they are the people who produces the most famous singers and singers in the Arab world and the Egyptian music. Regarding the what you mentioned before, related to the I'm sorry, you said that before the music.
Second Suez Canal.
The second Suez Canal. The second Suez Canal, really, Suez Canal. It's a project connecting the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, and so this is it's a unique canal that Egypt offering to the world for quick moving from instead of going far away. So whatever will help the canal operation. So Egypt is working on that. So the second Suez Canal could be like to have more opportunities for more ships to move back and forth. So instead of just going one way, they could be going two ways at the same time. So so Egypt is ready. The Suez Canal is ready for the world economy to move without delay in two ways, and even multiple directions at the same time. So Egypt is ready. Just the world to come to Egypt, and Egypt will help by all means. And Suez Canal is one of these means to help with the commercial activities in the world through a quick moving from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea to the Mediterranean and back and forth.
Well, let me show off my Egyptian. Ayuhaga or Bardo Keda. And from Kulthum. Yeah, Habibi, yeah, Habibi.
Yeah.
So, but
that's good. That's nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation.
You're welcome.
We can take some more questions, although we are at the bottom of the hour. So those that need to leave, I understand. So thank you all for joining us. If there are there any other questions? If not,
so I would like to thank Dr. Zohery, also Dr. Kadri, and Dr. Hamza from the Egyptian Embassy. Thank you, gentlemen. It was a great presentation. We loved it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and it was a pleasure being with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.